Hi, this is Seth Hunter, the founder and head honcho of Buddy Bench. Everything you're about to see and hear was created by me, and I hope you enjoy it. I had a lot of fun creating it. Please do join our ever-growing community and check us out at buddybench.org. Perfectly imperfect. In a hyper-competitive world, it is easy to fall into the trap of demanding perfection in all areas of our lives. Many people live, both consciously or unconsciously, in a state of underlying anxiety. We have a fear, for example, that any day now we'll be found out, that we're pretending to be competent at work, and really we're inadequate in so many ways. We are fundamentally flawed. Some argue that one of our most common fears as humans, when you strip away our defence mechanisms and get beneath all the bluster, is we secretly suspect we are charlatans. We are frauds. We have a vague sense that we're blagging it, and so far no one seems to have noticed. For me, a sense of impending ridicule, if not outright humiliation, is never far from the surface, however well I present myself. Take this creation, for example. I set myself the goal of writing one post that would then become these creations a week, yet failed to do this within a few days of making this resolution. I even tried to make myself accountable by sharing this intention with some of you in an earlier communication. My disappointment at not sticking to my post-a-week commitment lurks around the edges of my awareness and leaves me with an uncomfortable sense of failure. A familiar sense of shame and frustration at breaking this simple commitment is not only a little embarrassing for me, but also rather demoralising. My inner critic seems to want to judge and punish me for yet again falling short and messing up. What to do? Except that I'm perfectly imperfect. We all are. The Japanese have a lovely way of relating to imperfections. Kintsugi, not sure how you pronounce that, golden joinery, is a Japanese art of repairing broken pottery by mending the areas of breakage with lacquer dusted or mixed with powdered gold, silver or platinum. As a philosophy, it treats breakage and repair as part of the history of an object, rather than something to disguise. The idea is that in embracing flaws and imperfections, you can create an even stronger, more beautiful piece of art. Leonard Cohen, one of my favourite musicians, the legendary Canadian poet and singer, writes in his song Anthem from the 1992 album The Future, a profound message of hope in darkness. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. Naturally, the Buddhists have something to say about imperfections and the temporary nature of everything. You see this goblet, asks Achan Chah, the Thai to meditation master. Again, I hope I pronounced the name right. For me, this glass is already broken. I enjoy it. I drink out of it. It holds my water admirably, sometimes even reflecting the sun in beautiful patterns. If I should tap it, it has a lovely ring to it. But when I put this glass on the shelf and the wind knocks it over or my elbow brushes it off the table and it falls to the ground and shatters, I say, of course. When I understand that the glass is already broken, every moment with it is precious. And this is from Thoughts Without a Thinker, Psychotherapy from a Buddhist Perspective by Mark Epstein. What about the near universal fear of parents that have been found wanting in raising their children? D.W. Winnicott was a British psychoanalyst and paediatrician who lived from 1896 to 1971. He was a prominent figure in the field of child development and made significant contributions to our understanding of the caregiver's-child relationship and the impact it has on the child's emotional and psychological development. One of the most helpful ideas Winnicott gifted to the world was the idea of good enough. Winnicott argued that a good enough caregiver is one who provides a balanced mix of emotional support, empathy, and appropriate limits and boundaries for their child. A good enough caregiver is one who provides a supportive and nurturing environment while also allowing the child to explore and make mistakes. They do not try to control or manipulate the child's development, but instead allow the child to take the lead, while also setting appropriate limits and boundaries. The balance between support and autonomy helps the child develop a strong sense of self, which will serve them well throughout their lives. A key function of good enough parenting is to provide the essential background to allow for the growing child's disillusionment with the caregivers and the world, without destroying their appetite for life and ability to accept reality, both external and internal. By surviving the child's anger and frustration with the necessary disillusionments of life, the good enough parents would enable their child to relate to them on an ongoing and more realistic basis. As Winnicott put it, it is the good enough environmental provision which makes it possible for the offspring to cope with the immense shock of loss of omnipotence. Not only was Winnicott nudging us all to be better pet caregivers, but he was also encouraging us to be a bit more compassionate towards our own inevitable flaws. He was concerned about the growing trend of professionals such as psychologists, paediatricians and social workers who were intruding into the family and offering advice and guidance on how to raise children. He believed that this intrusion was often unwarranted and could be harmful to both the parent and the child. Winnicott wanted to provide support for what he called the sound instincts of normal parents, stable and healthy families. Winnicott saw the good enough parent as a way to defend the ordinary care providers from some of these intrusive experts by recognising and valuing the important role that parents play in the development of their children. He emphasised that the caregiver-child relationship is a unique and intimate bond that should not be interfered with by outside professionals, unless there is a clear need for intervention. Winnicott also believed that the good enough parent was a more realistic and attainable standard than the perfectionism that was often demanded by some experts. He recognised that parenting is a complex and challenging task that involves making mistakes, and that it is unrealistic to expect parents to be perfect. He saw the good enough parent as one who provides a supportive and nurturing environment while also allowing the child to develop their own sense of self and independence. Winnicott was not anti the professional. He was, after all, a professional himself. It seems he simply felt the need to champion the right of humans to be flawed, yet valuable. If you remember anything from this creation that you're watching and listening to, I would encourage you to remember the phrase, good enough. Good enough has become a well-used mantra of mine, and I use it to make peace with my imperfections. It has proved to be a powerful antidote to the distress caused by bouts of relentless rumination as to my real or perceived sense of inadequacies or failings. Winnicott developed the good enough idea with the healthy care of children as its focus. I suggest that the idea of not being perfect but good enough is an incredibly self-compassionate mindset and a useful concept for most human endeavours, including angst. Indeed, I know this creation that I'm putting out right now isn't perfect, and I'm already imagining you criticising what I've done and my hackneyed attempts to write something clever so that you'll be impressed by me. I already feel a bit disappointed in this musing before I've even published it. Yet, I leave my desk and walk away from this microphone, saying quietly to myself that I've tried my best and this is good enough. Despite our imperfections, or maybe because of them, it's worth remembering. Human beings are not mathematical problems to be solved. We are sunsets in which to be in awe.